Welcome to Under Two Capes, episode 102, the first one in the new Under Two Capes kingdom.
Yes.
Graciously helped to be set up by Lad. Very appreciate it, Lad.
Yeah, we worked hard. We spent like 2 hours. We threw the entire room into like craziness, messiness, and we put it back together, and it looks fantastic now. Jared,
yeah, it was like
hard.
As soon as we finished recording episode, like I think it was like 101 was the last one where you came over, and we just decided, you know what, screw it, let's just redo the entire room.
Yeah. We it was a decent amount of work, but I think it really paid off. I hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah.
Now you have stuff behind me that you can look at a lot easier.
All
right, so and we'll be doing a room tour
very soon.
Video later. Yeah. So today's topic is our favorite superhero video games, which is a topic that's near and dear to our heart because part of what like solidified our love of superheroes was video games. But first, we're going to start off with a very short discussion about Boba Fett. So, Lad, apparently, any show that Filoni's involved in automatically becomes Cameo, the TV show. Because, oh my gosh.
So, spoilers for everyone who, if you haven't
seen the
latest episode.
Massive spoilers.
Massive, boom, spoiler alert.
All right, so do you want to do it in order? Or do you want to do it in order? Or do you want to skip to that Cameo?
Let's just skip to that Cameo, since at this point, everyone already knows. Let's just jump into the big thing.
Apparently... So he showed up in Bad Batch, and then we get a live action with the same voice, Cad freaking Bane.
Yes, Cad Bane.
I'm like, it had kind of been spoiled because I was checking out Twitter, and then someone posted the photo, but I'm like, And then I see him walking through the desert, and I'm like, oh man. So you know what this means? Wait a second. That means that the last episode is probably going to be a confrontation between Boba Fett and Cad Bane.
Yeah.
A rematch, if you will.
A rematch of, only deep cut Star Wars fans, Clone Wars fans know about the, Boba and Cad were supposed to have a fight at the end of Clone Wars where Boba gets the dent in his helmet, and we didn't know if Cad Bane was going to survive or not. We saw in Bad Batch that he has like a metal plate on his head, so it looks like he did. And now we could actually get the rematch of, something we were supposed to happen in.
All I want is for Boba to see Cad Bane and go, I thought I shot you. And then Cad Bane goes, yo, you're a horrible shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we also had Tano showed up.
Yes. I like her.
Which was like the biggest, like, what just happened? Because like it flashes on, she's like on the screen all of a sudden. I'm like, what?
Yeah, she likes to mess around with people, eh? She's just messing with Amanda.
And then what they do is that Luke Skywalker, who's also in this show, but looks infinitely better than he did in Mando season 2, he goes, okay, Grogu, do you want to remember where you came from? So he puts his hand on his head.
Yeah.
You know what I'm about to say, Lad. I'm not like spoiling it for you, right?
No,
all right. So then we see basically Nightfall from episode 3 with the 501st clones fighting. I think it was Sindralig. And I'm like,
I so. Dude, that's like so crazy to actually see like the Order 66 from that perspective. That's insane.
It's the first time since episode 3 we've seen live action Order 66.
Right. No, that's...
I'm like, gee. And that, again, repeats the question, who is saving Grogu from the temple?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Some people are wondering if maybe it was Jocasta Nu or something, but I don't think it was her.
Could it be Jocasta?
Thing is, I think we saw her get like arrested like in a comic book by one of the Inquisitors.
Killed by Vader in the Inquisitors, I think.
I think so. So I don't think it could be her, but maybe we'll probably learn more as we go along. Maybe it was Yaddle. Is Yaddle alive by episode 3?
I think she died.
Okay. And also, listen, we have a Grogu, and then the only other people we know of Yoda species in like the entire galaxy is Yoda and Yaddle, a boy and a girl. So Grogu has to be Yoda's kid, right?
Oh, I never thought of that.
I mean, it's Yoda and Yaddle, like a boy and girl, and these are like literally the only 3 Yoda species we've like ever seen in the galaxy, right? So, I mean, Grogu has to be Yoda's kid, right?
That is a good point, actually. I never thought of that.
I feel like it won't be, but like I just think it's funny that like I haven't seen any other of them, you know.
Speaking of haven't seen any other, isn't it kind of interesting how a show about Boba Fett barely has Boba Fett in it?
I saw someone post that the last 2 episodes, Boba Fett's had 1 minute screen time combined.
And there have been people that have been labeling it. Oh man, I love the intro. I love the new season of Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm
not complaining though.
I'm not complaining. I would just consider like these 2 episodes to be like Mando's season 2.5, and then we're gonna get back to Boba Fett.
I think the next episode is gonna be him with Bo. It's gonna be just the battle on this from the perspective of Boba. In other words, I think it's gonna be a Boba centered episode.
Yeah, Boba versus Cad Bane. I think
yes.
Mando's gonna probably be there, but hopefully he's not gonna try to steal the spotlight again.
He's Mando. He steals every spotlight. This is the way.
This is the way. I kind of would like if I was wondering if it was gonna happen that like Luke or Ahsoka was gonna give Mando a little bit of lightsaber training with the darksaber. Would have been kind of cool, but
they don't know he has it. I don't think.
I'm not sure. They may not know that, right? Maybe in season 3 we can see a little bit of something that.
Has Ahsoka fought anyone with the darksaber in Clone Wars?
Did Maul have it when she arrested him? No. Did he? He already lost it.
I think he had his lightsaber.
Right. I forget, where did the darksaber go? Like after like Obi-Wan and Satine died, that's the last time I remember seeing the darksaber. Like
it was with Bo-Katan and Rebels. That's what I know.
Right. It was that's the last time we've seen it there. And then Moff Gideon got it. So yeah, I don't know, but that was really good. I mean, seeing like Ahsoka there and Ahsoka talking with Luke. Ahsoka didn't say why she was there. She kind of tricked the question around. So she must have been.
She didn't just speak. She said, "You're so much like your father," and then she goes like, "I'm a friend of the family," and I'm like, that's a word for it.
That was. I mean, I think the biggest thing I imagine when we saw that Ahsoka survived post episode 6 in Rebels, where they showed like the conclusion scene. The one thing I was like wondering, is Luke ever going to meet Ahsoka to see what his father was like? And this is kind of like we get a little bit of that interaction, a little bit of that dialogue, and it was like really perfect. And just seeing Luke's reaction, and like you're right, the face looks so much better than the other CGI.
You know why? Disney hired that deep faker that did it better.
Yeah, you're right. I know that the Schmuck, I believe his name is, he's a really good deep faker and got hired by Disney. If people didn't know, you can look him up on YouTube. And it looks so much better. I actually saw like the emotion, like when Ahsoka mentioned Anakin, he looked over at her and he kind of like it was such a unique like kind of smile / smirk of
the Skywalker
like,
smirk.
Yeah, like kind of like happiness of like mentioning Anakin in like a positive way. Like it felt so real. Like it actually felt like really Luke Skywalker speaking with Ahsoka, which is not something I thought could ever happen in live action. No. It's just like not possible. But
I also love where he's going for a walk with Grogu and he's like giving him a little boost with the Force.
Yeah, that was so good. I like how I was pointing. I like the part how Luke is like, with the Force you could do stuff like this, and he lifts up many frogs out of the grass.
Frogs. Yeah, it's like I'm getting I'm getting like size matters not vibes, and he says that. All right, so I just want to quickly mention you're aware of what happens in the previous episode, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
So they show the purge, and then they mention about how Bo-Katan lost it. Gained it. So the rule is you have to win it by combat.
Right.
But Bo-Katan was just given it, so that's why the purge happened.
Yeah, that like not all the Mandalorians followed her because I guess I mean her and her modern Mandalorians, they didn't really see any issue with that, but some of the more zealot people, like the people that like Death Watch or Mando's group and some others,
which for Death Watch
didn't sign with go all the way with her because of she wasn't following all the traditions. And then when the Empire came and destroyed their world, they said that it's just the prophecy coming to a conclusion, that this happened because they didn't follow their old ways of tradition and everything, and that's why she was doomed to fail. And only some of the remnants are left around now. And
that's very, and even the armorer goes, Bo-Katan is a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's cool. All right, so unless you have anything else you want to talk about concerning Mando season 3, we can move on to the main topic.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about, like I said before, our favorite superhero video games, but we're going to do it in a different way than we did our previous list episodes, in that we're going to go through it like normal, but when we get to number 1, we have to guess what each other's favorite superhero game is. So, lad, do you have your list? Oh,
yep, I have my list. I'm all set. Here,
okay,
let me fix my camera.
All right.
Yes.
We'll give Lad a second to get hair and makeup in.
All right, hair and makeup.
All right, Lad. So how do you want to do this, Lad? Do you want to go, we each give one until we get to 2, or do you want to go through yours up to 2, I go through mine up to 2, and then we guess?
Yeah, let's do 2, and then we can do the last one. So,
all right, I'm going to share my screen. Hang on one second. I'm going to need to start this presentation thing. Hang on.
Oh, you made a presentation.
You know me. I always do that. All right, hang on. Let me just... Technical difficulties, folks. Just making sure that this works perfectly.
No problem. No problem.
All right, lad. And you cannot see any future slides unless I hit enter, right?
That's correct. That is correct.
All right. So do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Why don't you do your first 2 since you already have them loaded up?
Okay. So number 5 is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1. Have to mention this, baby. Here are my reasons. It's got a massive cast of characters. It's such a deep dive into Marvel lore. It throws so much at you about Marvel, who the Atlanteans are, who the Shi'ar are, I guess, who the Asgardians are. It's like so much, like you could teach someone Marvel lore just by playing this game. On top of the fact, it's got an epic storyline where Doctor Doom takes over Odin's powers.
Yes, that's great.
Like, geez, you can't get any better than that. And then it had the tease of Galactus invading that we never got in Ultimate Alliance 2. Sad. Spider-Man Web of Shadows.
Oh, that's a good pick.
This was the Spider-Man game that I got really into. I like it because you can switch between the red and black suits at will. And then it had alternate, it's basically one of those games where your choices influence the ending you get. And then it even influences which characters will team up with. Like you'll team up with Moon Knight or Black Cat. And
that's good.
It's like halfway through the game, the symbiotes take over New York. So it's like all of a sudden the dynamics of the map change and you have to fight symbiotes every time you're on the ground. They add so many different characters and locations, like Wolverine shows up, the headquarters of Stark Tower. And on Stark Tower, if you see like a spider-like creature on top, like a hologram, that's not a creature. What that is, that's the Sentry's headquarters on top of Stark Tower.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, wow, that is it's so much coming at you at once.
Right. That's pretty good.
And plus, it's a Spider-Man game. You can web swing. You can fight all the Sinister Six. It's really, it's one of my favorite Spider-Man games I've ever played.
That is really good. That is really good.
All right, lad. What do you got for number 5 and 4?
So I just want to give like an honorable mention here first that if I had a PlayStation, the Spider-Man game and the Spider-Man Miles Morales would probably be at number 1 on my list because they look so good and have an awesome
seen gameplay
story.
and oh my gosh, it's the swinging dynamics. So you can even have them jumping off parts of buildings too. I'm like, oh, I want a PlayStation.
I know. So if I had it, it probably would be my number 1. But okay, we're gonna go the ones I have played. Number 5 is a special one. I'm putting Spider-Man 2, the video game, on my list here.
Yeah, I still have my original Xbox copy of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, my
story is
interesting because I actually never had an Xbox. So I played this at a friend's house back like in like lower school. I would come to his house every now and then, and he had like, I think a PlayStation or an Xbox, and he played Spider-Man 2 on it, and I would play it. And I didn't have many video games as a kid, so I came to his house, and all of a sudden I could play this video game where I could explore the whole city, like open world, and I had never seen a video game where you could do that before. That was like 2004 or something. That was revolutionary, that concept, and just swing around the city as Spider-Man. And I didn't even know much about Spider-Man. That was just game changing. I just didn't even know that was possible to experience that thing. And I remember some of the most fun I had was going up to the highest point in the city, the tower, I think. I forget which building it is. And I went up to the satellite, and then I would jump off the top of the tower and see if I could die from fall damage. With
kind of cool. In the Miles Morales game, when you do that, you can have like an animation where he's falling. He's like lying down and going through his phone as he's falling.
That's right. It's funny because like if you fall off like any of the regular buildings or even some of the higher ones, you can survive as Spider-Man. He just like braces his landing. But if you make it to like the highest point of city, like that tower I mentioned, he will actually have like a death animation and die because of fall damage.
Yeah, he did that in Spider-Man 3. He did in Spider-Man 3. You jump down and he like splats.
I would always like, me and my friend would joke around. I was like, just let me play for a second. I won't do anything. And then I'll be like, oh no. And then it's like, come on, what is stop doing that?
So you haven't changed, like, because that's exactly what you do every time you and I play a video game.
Yeah, I was actually, you're right. I haven't changed. I do the exact same thing.
All right.
So that game has memories. I really enjoyed that.
Awesome. That's a good pick.
Much. So my number 4 pick here is I'll probably put. I'd put. Ooh, this is a good. Well, okay, yeah. I'm putting Lego Batman, the first video game, Lego Batman 1, in my number 4 here. Because growing up, most of the games I played were the Lego video games because it was a bit more childish. Like, I enjoyed those. And so that got Lego Batman, the video game, exposed me to all the DC characters. Like, I pretty much learned about DC from
Lego Batman
that
2,
game.
right?
No, Lego Batman 1. I'm talking about Lego Batman.
DC characters. You mean all the Batman characters, right?
I mean the Batman characters, yeah. Not really the DC characters.
Yeah, because the other ones didn't really show up until 2.
Right. I mean, Batman is the most important part of DC, though. But
just ask their comics division.
Yeah. Just that game was special because that was 2008 or so, or 2006, and just I didn't have much experience with Batman, but the world was the setting was great. Like, it was really dark, like it was kind of scary, and there were all these thugs running around, and learning about the Batman villains. When you played every level, it would give you the backstory of how the villain, like Clayface, became a monster, or the Penguin, and
I love that.
You would learn about it, and they had like overarching story where each of them criminals were doing something that was trying to do an ultimate final defeat of Batman at the end of their story, and you could play as the villains. Like, I just learned so much about DC lore. I really fell in love with the Batman mythos from that video game. So that's my number 4.
That's a fantastic choice. That's an amazing choice. I love that game.
Yeah, that was
All right.
so good. So good.
My turn. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Oh,
One.
wow. Yeah. Nice.
Now, all right, so first, massive list of characters. Once again, the Lego games I think are really good at like jamming every like A, B, C, D tier list characters in a one video game. I'm like,
Yes.
And one point of why I loved it, it had the X-Men.
Right.
Yeah, I had to like differentiate that. Yeah, an epic story where you fight Galactus. You get to play as the villains, but it's just like there's so much in this game to the point where one of the Deadpool side missions is you get to infiltrate Marvel Comics.
That's great.
I'm like, this is so meta.
You're right. This game really is so incredible. Like, because it was before all the X-Men fiasco, so it really was the entire Marvel universe in a comics book world. You know, it was great.
Plus the detail, because if you play as Emma Frost and put her in her diamond form, then like say took Cyclops and blasted I-beams. And I tried this. The I-beams will deflect. I mean, she is actually invulnerable when she's in diamond form to the point where she will deflect lasers. It is so freaking cool.
That game was really good, dude. That was really fantastic.
I mean, you can play a superior Spider-Man.
Yes, dude. It had so much. Like, the Lego games have so many characters in it, such deep cuts.
I'm like, oh man, the only thing missing is the Squadron Supreme, who were later put in Avengers.
Yep.
Well, yeah, it's like they have so much content in this game. And the free roaming world, I think, in this game was like one of the best because it's like you have the helicarrier, the X Mansion, the Baxter Building, the Avengers Tower, all of New York City.
Yes, that was great.
And then it has Agent Phil Coulson as the dude, as the guy in the chair, essentially.
Yeah, I like they even got the voice actor. He's great.
All right, next game. Batman Arkham Knight.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Because you can free roam all of Gotham in the Batmobile, which can turn to a tank, or you can use the Keaton Batmobile, the Adam West Batmobile, that's for you, lad, the Ben Affleck BVS Batmobile, and then a couple of other ones of the Tankmobile, but with different like skins. It's an original take on the Red Hood origin because, spoiler alert, the Arkham Knight is Red Hood. And then you get to play as all these different characters throughout the DLC. You can play as Azrael, Red Hood. We could just shoot people. Catwoman, Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing. It's like Harley freaking Quinn. They add so much to this storyline, and like they each take place like at different points in the storyline. Like you'll have some that take place after the game, and they reference the events in the game. You have some that take place before, and it's basically a setup to the game. And then let's not forget the massive library of skins for Batman. That's why I have this picture here. Flashpoint, New 52, Keaton, Bale, Affleck, Beyond, West. Yes, you can use the Adam West.
And you can use Adam West?
Use Adam West, yeah. Cheesy suit.
You have to show me that next time.
Because you can use the Adam West Catwoman suit.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. You can use, speaking of that, in like a few of the Arkham games, you can play as like the Blackest Night Batman, where he's the Black Lantern ring.
Yeah, dude, I didn't know they had all these awesome skins for these games. They
jam. These are the greatest super. See, I would have put this as my number one, but when I put for my number one, I just had to put it there. So there's like this way. This is really 1.5 because this is like one of the first. Like this way, the day before the Snyder Cut came out, I was just free roaming as Ben Affleck in this.
Yes.
This is the game that I'm convinced Snyder based the amazing warehouse scene on, because that's pretty much what Arkham looks like.
Yeah.
You could go through an entire fight if you just hit the counter without getting hit once. In fact, that's one of the challenges. It's like in the DLC, you can encounter like Mr. Freeze, Clayface, Talia al Ghul. Well, in this game, she's dead, but her sister, Ra's al Ghul. You can encounter Man-Bat. You can encounter Harley Quinn, Two-Face, Scarecrow, obviously Red Hood, Professor Pig, Azrael, and you can later play as Azrael. Let me see, who else can you play as that's like, and they make references to the Justice League. Like they'll say, well, Batman's too, well, I know Batman's tough, but at least we can see him coming. Referencing the Flash. There's a scene where there's an Easter egg where if you go to Wayne Tower and you check Bruce Wayne's voicemails, you'll have like Vicky Vale will leave a voicemail, Kate Kane will leave a voicemail, and then Lex Luthor leaves a voicemail asking why Bruce hasn't sold Applied Sciences. Oh, and by the way, also, not only him, you can also encounter Hush.
Yes.
Thomas freaking Elliott.
Yeah.
And then he actually says in the game, I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, this is the greatest Batman game ever. And he can just free roam and just run people over in the Batmobile. How cool is that?
That's insane. Like I've never actually played too much of them, but I just know that the Arkham series, the Arkham series is like some of the pinnacle of superhero video games. Like before Spider-Man came out, like I think Arkham series was like the pinnacle of superhero video games. I'm not sure if the Spider-Man games are better, but I'd say they're a little bit different than the Arkham series.
They're different. They're different.
The Arkham series is some of like the pinnacle of like superhero video games, just like all together environment and aesthetic and everything you can experience in a superhero game.
This is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite honest game trailer because the dude goes, "Okay, so Batman is fighting a younger sounding character that knows so much about him and uses guns. And if you don't know who that is, then welcome to your first Batman story."
Yeah.
I was like, wait a sec. And it's kind of cool is that this ties into Arkham's Asylum because it was in Arkham Asylum where Jason Todd goes missing. It's in a DLC where he's captured by the Joker.
I see.
And then just leads in. It's really, really, really freaking cool how they do this. And then they have like the RoboCop bat suit.
Yeah, it looked really cool. I remember seeing the trailers for it, and the Arkham Knight looked so sick. I had no idea who it was. I didn't really know too much about
Me neither.
Jason Todd, but it looked super cool. I thought it was Batman at first. I didn't realize it was someone else.
You can play as the Arkham Knight too, as a skin for Jason Todd.
Oh, that's great.
There's a DLC where we just fight a bunch of Two-Face guys. They just shoot them. I'm like, this is way easier. Batman needs a gun.
Yeah.
All right, lad. 3 and 2, go.
So, for number 3 and 2. Now, I was kind of jumping a little bit back and forth on where to organize these two. In the final ranking, I guess.
Hang on.
I'm gonna scoot over to another area real quick.
That's fine. Go ahead. Technical difficulties, folks. Lab will be back momentarily while we get a full screen view of this new set. It looks freaking dope. I love it. Yeah, this was a lot of work of Lad and I lifting tables. And by the way, those of you on the audio, thank you for listening to the audio. You can find the visuals of the episode at Comics League on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, because we have many different shows and episodes focusing on the Snyderverse, focusing on who's better, Batman or Superman? The answer, honestly, is Batman, but that's besides the point. We even plan on doing an episode on why Adam West's Batman would be killed by Ben Affleck's Batman.
No, there's no way. Because Ben Affleck is really powerful and has lots of weapons, but his utility belt is like junk. Like he has nothing as utility belt. Adam West would have something as utility belt that would stop Affleck. Like he would have like the bat nauseator, which would make Affleck like pass
what he
out
has, it's a little M, and it's called the Bat Martha.
Yeah, the Bat Martha. Yeah.
All right, lad. 3 and 2, go.
So yeah, my 3 and 2 were kind of like I'll jump back and forth on how to order these ones, but I decided finally that my number 3 is the Amazing Spider-Man video game. It was
the ones for the Garfield movie.
Yeah, the ones for the Garfield movie, and these got they were like tie-in video games, right? And I never bought the second game, but I bought the first one, and I really enjoyed it. It was set after the first movie, so it was like a mini sequel of sorts. And it was really good because this is like the first time I actually owned a Spider-Man game for myself, and I really enjoyed the movie when I watched it. And as we've talked about, and I already became something of a Spider-Man fan by that point. And
I'm something of a Spider-Man fan myself.
Yeah,
I had to.
No, I was hoping you weren't going to do that.
I absolutely. You set me up so well for that.
I walked myself into that one. And just that game was so much fun because you could free roam New York, and the graphics were really great. I had just bought a Wii U, and I was able to play it on that Nintendo system, and it was so much fun because you could just, as Spider-Man, just travel around fighting the Lizard, fighting all these, like the Rhino, and just doing missions. The storyline was actually pretty good.
It's a sequel to the movie, but Lizard's cured in the movie.
Well, yeah, he is. But, well, I mean, he's not the villain of the movie, of the game, but Kurt Connors was in it, and he was helping you out from time to time.
Okay.
And at one point, he gets turned back into the Lizard for a little bit, but then he gets put back to normal.
All right, my other question is, why haven't we played this game when I go over to your house?
Yeah, because it's I guess it's like a one-player, so I haven't played it in a long time. I booted it up.
Dude! You didn't tell me you own this game!
Yeah, it was like the first game I owned when I bought a Wii U. The thing is, I loved it so much, and the storyline was great. It had good voice acting, and it felt really good. It was like the premise of the movie of the game was that there was Oscorp. They were working on cross-species genetic wackiness, and then all of a sudden there was like a virus outbreak that was affecting the whole city, kind of something like COVID, honestly, like which was kind of scary. But like basically, people were going to get transformed into monsters, and Spider-Man had to stop the virus from spreading, and it was a whole thing. But it was a good game. Unfortunately, I got stuck on it. Like, I don't know, halfway through the game, I could not figure out how to get through it, and I can help you.
I'm a wizard at those games.
I've never finished the game. I don't know why I didn't look up a guide or something, but I guess I kind of got bored of it eventually, and I literally never beat the game. I don't even know what happened at the end of the story.
Next time I go over to your house, we're gonna complete the game. We're doing it.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
All right. So number 2.
So number 2 on my list.
Obviously, wait, real quick, you can tell you're a Spider-Man fan because most of the games on this list are Spider-Man games.
Well, yeah, because my next one is Spider-Man Unlimited, a mobile video game.
Okay, is that the game you keep referencing all the time?
It is the game I keep referencing all the time. It's the one that really got me into Spider-Man because I played Amazing Spider-Man first, and I watched the movie, and I really enjoyed Spider-Man, but the Spider-Man video game that came out like 2016, 2017 was phenomenal. And if anyone like searches up Spider-Man Unlimited, the game is shut down now, but it was so much fun because the premise of the game was Spider-Man was saving the day. It's an endless runner, but it's Spider-Man themed, and the Sinister Six, it's a multiversal Sinister Six. So you have Sinister Six from across the universes, and they're all battling against Spider-Man. And to defeat them, S.H.I.E.L.D. is recruiting Spider-Men and women from other galaxies and universes on your fight. So you would play as Spider-Man, collect points, defeat enemies, and try to collect all these cool Spider-Man, like Ends of the Earth suit Spider-Man, Cosmic Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
You mean
Carnage.
you mean the Spider Suit Mark III, whatever that you and I keep
Mark
geeking out.
III.
Yes.
The Mark III suit.
Why did they have to shut this game down?
This game, that was where I learned so much about Spider-Man and all the different versions of him and just costumes he's worn. Like, I learned about Scarlet Spider. I learned about Ben Reilly and Kane. You know, just so cool. And aside from it had like over 200 playable characters in it. Like Black Cat, Nick Fury, MJ.
Wait, you could play as Nick Fury?
You could play as Nick Fury, yeah.
You could play as MJ in a Spider-Man game?
Yeah, because they used the scapegoat that it was MJ from the Spider Island event. So that's why she was able to do the swinging and stuff like that.
Okay. Because I was about to say, wait a second.
Yeah, so that's kind of like how they kind of like, you know, squeezed around that technicality of them being Spider-Man characters.
And I guess with Fury, they're like, oh, he made his own web shooters.
Probably something like that, yeah. It was so much fun. There was so many comic book characters, and every character had a description on where they first originated from and a backstory. And the best part was that they were real-time events. Like every week, there was 2 or 3 like events happening where you could get really large prizes and points if you completed challenges. And they actually adapted comic book storylines with little cutscenes into these weekly events, and they would build up on each other like over the course of a month, or they would intertwine like a TV show. And I learned about the Superior Spider-Man storyline. I learned about Spider-Man when he gets framed for murder, which is kind of similar to the story for No Way Home. Just so many cool storylines. I loved it so much. I stopped playing it eventually, and then they shut it down. But it was great. It was such a fantastic game.
# restore Spider-Man Unlimited.
I know, it was so sad. They added like so many Venom characters, Venom, Carnage, all of them. Like It was so good.
Well, I missed this great game. Which, by the way,
it was so good.
Can't you also play as the Spider Mark III suit in the PlayStation Spider-Man game?
Yes, in the PlayStation.
And you can you can play as the suits. They just added this to the PlayStation Spider-Man game from No Way Home.
Yes. Yes.
Why don't I have a PlayStation?
I know. It's crazy that, I mean, I don't know, Amazing Spider-Man video game had 10 skins, like 10 costumes you could wear, and that felt like a lot. The Spider-Man PS4 game has like 40 suits or so. That's insane for a Spider-Man game. That's like honestly impressive because like I said,
they even have effects because the Iron Spider suit from the MCU, the eyes actually glow.
Yes, that was awesome. I mean, that game is incredible for the amount of skins it has. The Spider-Man Limited will always have a soft place in my heart. The graphics weren't fantastic, but the gameplay was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. It was.
Speaking of a fantastic Spider-Man game, we can play as a lot of different characters. Did you ever play Spider-Man Friend or Foe?
I never played any of those classic games.
Dude!
I've never even played Edge of Time.
I haven't played Shadow Dimensions. I played the hell out of Friend or Foe. Oh man, really? You could play as you could team up Spider-Man with his villains. You could use the black suit, but the black suit design they used was the Tobey Maguire black suit.
No way, that's sick.
Everyone's in the Tobey Maguire suit. Apparently, New Goblin's a good guy in this game.
That's funny.
You can play as Blade.
Oh, dude.
And then there's a battle mode where it's 2-player. You can fight each other as these different characters. You can even have red suit Spider-Man versus black suit.
I kind of missed out. I need to go. I wanted to go back and play like all these Spider-Man games, but I've never really. Amazing Spider-Man is the only like actual console Spider-Man I've played before.
I would rebuy them, but they're really expensive. If I can find one for cheap, I'll get it because that was like one of the Spider-Man games that I really got into and played besides web.
Right.
And Spider-Man 3, I played a lot of that because you can even go in the subway and screw around there.
Yes. That's awesome.
I got up until the point where I fight Kraven and then I just stopped.
Right. That's great.
All right. So by the way, I did unlock the ability to play as the new Goblin too. So I'm just flying around throwing pumpkin bombs. All right. So, Lad, do you want to guess first what mine is, or do you want me to guess what yours is first?
I guess we should probably do. Yours first.
All right.
Yeah, let's do yours first. I think I know yours.
All right. Now
I think. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You talk.
Okay. So this was really hard for me to pick. This entire list was really hard for me to go through. But when I saw this, I was like, well, you know what? Whatever. So go ahead, Lad. What do you think is my favorite superhero video game?
It has to be Injustice.
But which one?
Which one would it be? I mean, Injustice 2 is more characters. I think Injustice 2. It has to be Injustice 2 because it has so many great characters.
You're right!
Yeah.
Injustice 2 is my #1 favorite superhero game because not only is it the one game where I destroy everyone, even my friends that play fighting games cannot defeat me in Injustice. So first off, and by the way, Lad, this is an intimidation tactic against you. Lad knows because I always beat him as Wonder Woman, as that specific Wonder Woman. First off, by the way, I didn't put this reason on here, but I might as well put on. Most of the actors are from Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
That's so great.
Eisenberg is Wonder Woman. Same Superman. Kevin Conroy.
I forgot that it was Kevin Conroy.
The Flash is different, but that's also because it's Barry Allen and not Wally West.
That's fine.
But Jon Stewart is him. You have the awesome Brainiac Invasion. You have, but I put Amazing Life of Warner Bros. Characters because it's got like the Mortal Kombat characters, and then it's got like the Ninja Turtles, Hellboy. I'm like, dude. All right, first off, who's your favorite Ninja Turtle, Lad?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm always a big fan of Mikey or Raphael. You know,
I'm a Leonardo guy.
Leonardo, that's a pretty good pick.
Did you see the TMNT movie where Raph became Batman, basically?
Yeah, that was fine. I love that.
I love that movie. All right, so it had I love Donnie. Two branching endings. Like at the end, it gave you the point to like choose a side, and then if you chose Superman, he would merge with Brainiac and become the ruler of the world. If you chose with Batman, everything was back to normal, and he reforms the Justice League. And then you had stages from DC lore. You had the Red Sun Prison, the Fortress of Solitude, Gotham, but it's actually Crime Alley Gotham. Then you have it's the Monarch Theater, and actually has the Mask of Zorro on the thing. Then you have like the Watchtower, the Hall of Justice. Like so many good transitions. Well done, Lad. I kind of knew you were gonna guess this. I'm like, if I put this in here, I'm pretty sure Lad's gonna guess it.
Yeah, you've played it a lot, and the storyline's insane. Like, it's a really cool, mature storyline for some of us DC fans that have grown up a little bit, and we want a new storyline. It was intense,
We'll talk about the storyline in a second, but in more detail. But yeah, I agree with you, Lad. I'm sorry to
definitely
cut you off on that.
That it was it's awesome. I really enjoyed playing it. We hung out and we played it quite a bit.
All right, and I'll give you one more. I have an honorable mention: Lego supervillains for DC.
Oh, nice!
Because it's a multiverse story this time.
Yes.
Absolutely massive list of characters, including characters from the Snyderverse and the Arrowverse.
Yes.
It's like when I got this game, like right when I got back into comics, I started like really going through it, and it's like the special edition that had everything was like for sale for like $5 on Xbox Live. So I was like, oh, screw it. So I sent Lad a picture, and he's like, they have Shazam? Like they have levels from Shazam, the Aquaman movie, Snyder characters, and with Flash, he actually has the Blue Lightning.
That's so great.
I'm like, oh, and again, I meant to put stages, but you can free roam in Apocalypse, the Fortress of Solitude. There's like so much in this one game. And it's like you're constantly rediscovering characters because they're like you can play as Chip, the Green Lantern squirrel. You can play as Dexter, the Red Lantern cat. You can play as all of the Green Lanterns, and I mean by that, I mean Jordan, Cruz, Baz. I'm not sure Guy Gardner. I think Guy Gardner. Obviously John Stewart, but there's like so many DC characters they throw in here.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's mine. It's because that was like almost my number 2, but then I wanted to put like what did I put as my number 2 again? I wanted to put Arkham, so I was like, you know what? I'll put that as an honorable mention.
Yeah, that's a fair place to put it.
All right, lad. All right, so I think I have an idea of what your number 1 is. I just need to ask you a quick question. Is it a Lego game?
It is a Lego game.
I knew it! All right. Yeah. Is it DC or Marvel?
It's
Actually,
DC.
don't tell me. Oh, DC.
No, I told you.
Is it Lego Batman 2?
It is Lego Batman.
Yes!
2. Yeah.
Yes! There you go!
Lego Batman 2, which Lego Batman 2 is an
I almost said 3!
gem.
I almost said 3!
Right. I mean, Lego Batman 2 is a gem. It is for me, like the single best video game I think I've ever played. Like even like regular video games or any game, I think it might be my all-time favorite video game. And
it's so much fun.
It is so much fun. Like I know the Lego games now have actually gone really good with the open world and so many characters and the voice acting, animation, and it's so big now. But I kind of haven't played as much of those, and I just remember the old days. And Lego Batman 2 changed everything in the formula. Like free roam,
speaking characters. By the way, they took all the cutscenes in that game and put them in a movie.
I remember that. Yeah,
I watched it and I'm like, this is oddly familiar.
Yeah,
like again, speaking of characters, you can play as like all the Justice League, and then you can play as like a bunch of other bonus characters. But here's the cool part. This is where they introduced where if you flew as Superman, it would start playing the Superman theme from Christopher Reeve. And it was I think it was in 3 where they introduced the Wonder Woman one.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. It was so cool. Like that game changed everything. Like you said, the open worlds, the character roster where I could play as the Justice League at the same time. I just had so much fun with it. Just seeing because Lego Batman 1, the first game, was so much fun. And then when they made a sequel, everything was better. The Gotham was so cool to explore. Like the open world was so detailed because they had so many missions you could do to collect characters or special bricks throughout the city. You had to climb up the towers and buildings. And the story mode was great, and I just have so many great memories of playing.
I love how in the story is basically the Lego Batman movie. In that Batman is like trying to go it alone constantly, and he's like, and even Robin's like, "Say nice to Superman who just saved us," and he's like, "No."
I thought that was.
I love the Robin in that. That was like fantastic. I love the beginning where like Bruce Wayne wins like an award, and Lex Luthor's like, "Hate that guy."
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it.
My favorite part is when Joker is chasing them in the mech, and then they're like, and then it's like, it's like Joker's like, "Don't worry, no one can see us," and then Joker's like, and then Lex Luthor's like, "It's visible from space."
Yeah,
he knows what's going on, and then Martian Manhunter are just like, "Huh."
Yeah, it's like attention. Yeah, that game was great, and I had so much fun playing it. With my sisters at the time, because you could jump in with 2 players. That was really special. And what we would do is one character would go and hide somewhere in the city, like basically hide and seek, and the other character would come like 5 minutes later and try to look for them. So because it was so big, you could get lost, and we'd have to also they chasing the Batmobile and stuff.
My only complaint with this game is that the flying controls were horrendous when you're playing as like Superman and Wonder Woman. The flying controls were the worst.
Yeah, but it was the first time.
It improved vastly in 3, but I'm like, oh, this sucks.
Oh yeah, the flying controls were like horrible, but it was like Lego's first shot at like flying characters.
But here's the funny part is, so you basically played hide and go seek. I know that your sister's probably won because you suck at finding things in video games.
Yeah, I mean, it was it was pretty tough. I don't remember if I won a lot or lost a lot, but it was great because once the chaser got close to you, it would become like a street chase. Like you would jump from your hiding spot and start running, and you would try to jump in the Batmobile and drive through the cities, and the other car be in hot pursuit behind you. You'd be going through.
Why didn't we ever do this? This is so fun.
It was so great, dude. We jump in the bat plane and maneuver, or you like shoot down their plane and then chase on them on foot. It was so great, like a police chase. That game will forever be like my all-time favorite for the memories I had with it.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, so immediately I was like, okay, it's number one. It has to be a Lego game. I know, lad. Yeah. At this point, I know you enough. And I was like, you said DC, and I'm like, well, there's only one real Lego DC game. You haven't played supervillains enough to rank that. And I was like, oh, I might as well go with 2. I went with a wild card on that one.
Yeah, that was a good.
But yeah, I like 2. It's just the thing. I like the Batcave, how you show up with the Batcave, and then you can like deploy in each of the Bat vehicles out, and it'll actually do an animation of them leaving the cave. And each one had like a different exit because it's like the plane went out this way, the car and boat went out that way.
Yeah, that was really good. That game was that. I actually 100%ed that game. Like I got all the mini kits. Yeah, I got all the characters, all the mini kits, all the power breaks. Beat every level, true, I don't know, vigilante or whatever, and then I actually true believer, and I unlocked the secret final character. I think it was Harley Quinn's bike for some reason was the final unlock, but
that sucks.
It was really lame. Final
Let's make it Dark Side. Come on.
No, actually, now I remember it was Harley Quinn's bike, but also it was Supergirl. You could unlock Supergirl if you beat like the entire game.
All right, that's a better thing. There you go.
It was so cool. So I 100% in that game. I did the whole thing. It was so much fun.
Oh, by the way, and so going back to my game real quick before we go on to like some of your story. The reason why I love Injustice so much too is the pre-order bonus. The pre-order bonus was you get to play as Darkseid.
Yes.
The dude at GameStop was like, well, if you pre-order the game, you get to play as Darkseid, and that's reason enough to pre-order the game. And I was like, you are right. That's the sales pitch right there.
You're right.
In case you guys are wondering how I just Darkseid, Wonder Woman, and Superman are like my best characters because you can't evade. Darkseid's like super attack is he just blasts you with Omega beams. And for those of you that don't know DC lore, and they kept to this in the game, like to a T, you cannot evade the Omega beams.
Oh, true.
Lad knows he's been on the receiving end.
Unless you're Batman, you can
time travel. So you can choose to be time displaced.
Right.
So now we're going to transition to a little bit more of an open discussion and talk about which games, it could be of the ones we mentioned or ones we didn't mention, do we think had the best storyline? Because obviously, Under Two Capes, we do a lot of discussion about comic book storylines. So, lad, real quick, which game do you think had the greatest storyline?
Greatest storyline in a video game.
With me, I'm a little biased toward Injustice. Lad, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted. Okay, there we go.
It's all good. Now you're back.
Why don't you go first? You go first. I want to hear.
All right, so
first.
The reason why I like Injustice's storyline so much is because it basically deals with the idea what happens if you give the god of Earth, Superman, but make him evil. Because we've played with that sort of idea, and it actually, the way they did it is actually like one of the most genius ways to do how Superman turns evil, is that you not only makes him kill Lois Lane, but their unborn child, and then you wire a nuke to her heart and make it explode, killing everyone in Metropolis. So it basically tells Superman, okay, I can't trust these people anymore. I'm going to go ahead and just take over. Then what's interesting, Superman had all the people with superpowers on his side, except for maybe Black Canary. But it's like, and then all the vigilante characters went with Batman.
Right.
And then what's cool is that then it brings you the multiverse with Batman bringing in like our Earth to save it. Then you get like Brainiac invades at the same time as Supergirl shows up, and she's wondering, why is everyone afraid of this S? So I'm like, oh, geez, she doesn't know. Even Wonder Woman and Black Adam have been like really like poisoning her mind against Batman.
Yeah, that was intense. Like I watched some of the cutscenes and I've seen some of Your Place, that storyline going on there, and we obviously read the prequel comics, which were really good.
And it's like when you see how far Superman fell from Metropolis to where Injustice 1 takes up, he like. So first off, what's kind of funny about the comic storylines that they themselves should be a game. Like Superman becomes a Yellow Lantern. I'm like, I want to play that. He kills like most of the Teen Titans are dead. He throws the remaining Teen Titans in the Phantom Zone because they wouldn't side with him. He straight up kills Shazam. He kills Green Arrow in like the first arc, and I'm like, oh no.
Right. That was pretty scary.
So that's kind of why, and specifically in Justice 1, I like, because then Supergirl, traditionally when Supergirl shows up, she's like more of like the protector of Superman. Now she's his enemy.
Right.
And then what I liked about it is that it did this thing, they did sort of a bait and switch where Brainiac invades, and then they make it so Batman lets Superman out of his prison cell because he realized they have no choice. Then they sort of played off like maybe Superman will turn good at the end, and then we'll get like the reformation of the Justice League. And then it shows that Superman is completely corrupted and wants to kill Brainiac. And then and that's at that point where you have to like choose a side, Batman or Superman, and then that it dictates the ending of the game. Glad you muted again.
Oh, hello? Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, that was a really good point that was really good.
All right, Lad, which game do you think had the best storyline?
Best storyline. That's a really good question. I'm just trying to think about so many different games that we've played so many good games, you know?
I know.
Like the best storyline. I think about Me Too had a good storyline. I won't put it like it's not my favorite storyline, but I thought it was pretty fun. How
what
Joker
game?
was help Lego Batman 2.
Oh yeah.
Because Joker was collecting kryptonite to create a lot of really powerful laughing gas to hypnotize all of America so that they could vote for Lex Luthor as president.
I know.
And I thought that was pretty funny. That's a cool story.
I thought it was for mayor of Gotham.
No, it was for president. Like he.
Oh really?
He was at the first. A bit of the story was where he was trying to be the man of the year of Gotham.
Oh, okay, and then it became Bruce Wayne, and then it was like, I hate that guy.
That. Yeah.
That's great.
But in terms of favorite storyline in like a superhero video game, I might have to go with I really enjoyed like the Ultimate Alliance storyline.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that was really good.
I also liked how 2 was straight up a recreation of Civil War, the comic book.
Right.
I was like, oh, this is way more accurate than the movie was.
Yeah, I remember playing that with my friend's house, Ultimate Alliance 2, and I thought that was really cool because I never experienced something where you had all these heroes together battling. The storyline seemed so much fun, like Civil War and everything.
Also had the X-Men.
Yes. I think that game might be one of my favorites in terms of that.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of this segment, exactly. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance like crams so much Marvel lore into the game. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like you learn pretty much everything about Marvel. And they explain it in such a good way. They explain it through having conversations with these characters. Like that's how I learned Iron Man's origin, Captain America's storyline, Black Panther. And it's like, you can even talk about Wolverine, about the time he was the Horseman of the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
But now, which Lego game do you think had the best storyline?
Best superhero Lego game? Marvel superheroes had a really good storyline with all the different villains and Galactus. boy, because the thing is,
I kind of liked 2 for the storyline of the 2 Marvel ones because it was like it brought in Battle World and then you're fighting Kang.
Yeah, the kind of like the Battle World, thing was really great.
And then wait a second, the voice actors are from Avengers Assembled.
Yeah,
and then you can play as Thanos.
Yeah, Marvel Superheroes 2 had a really good storyline. The problem is I haven't really played Lego Batman 3 or the DC Villains game, so I'm kind of missing out on half of the DC.
You played Super Villains with me when the last time you came over.
I've played it, but I haven't really gone into the storyline or like.
We'll do that the next time.
Before I haven't really sat down and played the whole thing, but man, I think Marvel Superheroes 2 might actually be might have the best storyline. Kang was really good as a villain. It made a lot of sense. I love that one actually.
My favorite of the Lego storylines is Supervillains because it's like they bring in the multiverse and then you're fighting the crime syndicate as the Justice League.
Yeah.
And what's cool is that the storyline is that the Justice League is like disappears and then the crime syndicate shows up and starts to take over and then they're like, what happened to the Justice League? So they show up like near the end of the game, and then that's when you unlock a lot of the Justice League characters, I think. And then they have a sequel campaign that you can play immediately after being the main one that basically shows what the Justice League was doing. They were sent to Apocalypse.
Oh, that's actually really cool.
And then as Wonder Woman, when you free Wonder Woman, you fight all the female Furies, and then you can actually play as the female Furies. So I'm like, yes!
Great, that's great.
The Darkseid voice actor is the one from the Superman animated show and the Justice League Unlimited Darkseid.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like most of these characters. It's like you can use again the Man of Steel Superman, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. She actually jumps instead of flies because at that point we hadn't seen Wonder Woman fly. Use the Ben Affleck Batman. You can use Cyborg and Flash and Deathstroke. Yeah. You could even use who else? In terms of the Arrowverse, you can use Zoom.
Yeah, I know that. I love how they, have those Arrowverse characters there. I feel like sometimes they're not really acknowledged throughout the community. And
when he plays the Atom, it's Brandon Routh.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good. It's funny because we were talking about Lego games as if they were on the same level as a lot of these other AAA titles. And the thing is that
they are
Lego TT Games is basically a AAA developer. They release games every year, super high quality, so many references and characters and storylines and open world experiences. Lego games are AAA titles now.
It's I saw this one funny meme. So they added Spider-Man to the Avengers, but apparently the web swing is terrible. And then someone put on the meme, why is the web swinging in the Lego game better than the Avengers game?
I know it is actually. I've played the Lego games, and the Spider-Man swing is way better. The Avengers.
It's way less but the thing is, I love this one other meme. It's when Spider-Man web swings off the Empire State Building. Where does the web go? I mean, where's the web caught? And someone's like, Uncle Ben grabs it from heaven.
Oh.
I thought you'd like that one, lad.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, sometimes he does seem to swing from clouds, but you know how it is.
Then let's not forget, for great storylines, the freaking Arkham games.
Yeah, those I remember. I just read the storylines from time to time since I never really played them, and it was so cool. How it was one continuous adventure for Batman, and
once again, it's
deep cuts.
Yeah, they play with the Arkham Knight, and then they make it so you don't necessarily know it's Jason Todd, even though it's clearly Jason Todd. I mean, you're fighting a guy that knows everything about Batman, where to shoot on the costume. It's don't shoot at the bat because that's where it's the most armored. Shoot at the joints. They bring in basically they force an evacuation of Gotham, so it's only bad guys. You can just run people over in the Batmobile. And when you play as the Batmobile,
run them over, right?
Tranquilize, yeah, because when you get close to them, they'll get shocked and thrown away. But what's cool is that, speaking about the sound, when you drive around the Ben Affleck Batmobile, it sounds like it did in the Batman versus Superman movie.
That's awesome.
They have all the sounds from the Batmobile. It's not just like it's the skin and you just fly. No, it's that. The only thing we can't use is the machine guns on the front, which I'm a little sad about because I'm like, they're there.
What are you gonna do with the machine guns on the vehicle, huh?
My other problem is that can't they just add the Justice League one because it's got the artillery cans? You can actually use that in the campaign.
Yeah, that'd been so good.
Also, wait a second. Here's a point we forgot to mention. The Suicide Squad game is in this universe.
Right, which I think is really interesting that we're getting the Justice League finally, and we're getting a new game, but it's not focusing on Batman.
But how much want to bet he's going to be brought back to life in this game because he's Batman? They'll make it like, oh, I wasn't dead the whole time. I was just watching all of you.
Right, yeah, just be like, psych, I lived.
Yeah, I live because I'm Batman. Yeah, they kind of like hinted at when they had like a Batmobile driving in the trailer before Superman is fighting Wonder Woman, which I'm like, that's interesting.
Yeah,
but so yeah, the Arkham games were like some of the best Batman storylines ever. Adding on to the fact that they actually like folded in a lot of these characters into the comics and actually did an Arkham comic series. Which showed like the build up to Arkham Knight, how Arkham Knight recruited his army, how Batman got the tank mobile.
Yeah,
I love the honest trailer for Arkham Knight too because it's like it's like a Batman. They were told Batman can be anything, so he became a tank. And now watch as you tank your city, as you tanked all these tank challenges. And you complete challenges so you and your tank can be together again so you can keep tanking, and in conclusion, tank.
That's funny because I remember like when they announced that the Batmobile was playable in Arkham Knight, that was a really big deal for a lot of people, and that was so cool.
And then I got one more storyline I want to talk about. Spider-Man Web of Shadows, baby.
Oh yeah, tell us.
You've seen the storyline for this, right, lad?
I've seen like little parts of it, but I really don't know most of it actually.
So basically, like it's one of those games where it starts off in the future and then it cuts back to the past. It's like a symbiote invasion because it turns out I spelled shadows wrong on this, but it turns out that the game is actually you're fighting you're basically battling Venom, and then he gets a little bit of the symbiote on him, and that's how they justify he has the black suit now, and it's the actual comics black suit. Which is kind of jarring for me because my only exposure to the black suit was the Tobey Maguire movie, and I'm like, where's all the reds all over it? Yeah. But it's like then halfway through the game, they make it so people are jumping off of buildings and fighting each other. So Spider-Man investigates and it turns out they're being taken over by symbiotes to the point where partway through the game, Spider-Man is fighting all these symbiote controlled people, right? But then to the media, it looks like he's just punching random people.
Yeah,
that's when the cops are against you, the Avengers are against you. Someone's like, "You got a lot of nerve showing up," and he's like, "I swear it wasn't me."
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
And then it's like, and then Eddie Brock shows up, and then it starts the invasion. And the symbiotes get like really self-aware, and Brock has to sacrifice himself to save everyone.
Wow, that's actually pretty good.
And then, so partway through the game, the decision point is that you can choose to like wipe out all the symbiotes. It's like purge it all except for the one you have to fight on the helicarrier, or you can be consumed by the symbiote and use its great power. That's what determines the ending of the game.
Oh, and
then you even fight a symbiote Wolverine to the point where one of the endings is that the sort of good, sort of bad ending is that you end up. This is really cool. The Black Widow unleashes the symbiote Wolverine to hunt down and kill Spider-Man.
Whoa.
And that's where the game ends. And then the best ending is that you end up with MJ and swing off into the distance. Nice. The bad ending is the symbiotes take over and you're hanging out with the symbiote Black Cat because she shows up.
Oh, that's so bad. That's funny.
Yeah, I love how anytime Spider-Man's with Felicia Hardy, it's always the bad ending.
Yeah.
That's great. So, and then, yeah. But it's definitely like my favorite Spider-Man game because once again, you get the whole like free roaming thing. Then you can also like, I have fights where when I was fighting Vulture, I would just fight him in midair because I could just web up and then pull myself up to him and then punch him a couple of times, fall off, web back off to him and punch him a couple of times. It's like really, they did a great job in that game of maintaining like the fluid combat that'll be associated with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Then I feel like my favorite Marvel game would be the Sony Spider-Man. In terms of storyline, the Spider-Man game for PlayStation and even the Miles Morales game are fantastic.
Yeah.
They even did a Stan Lee cameo.
I know.
And he always goes, "You two have always been my favorite." And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And I love how it ends with Miles showing Spider-Man that he's Spider-Man. He's like, okay, guys. He sets it up like, okay, so, I mean, everything's so weird and I don't feel so good. And then Peter's like, okay, sometimes your body goes through changes.
Yeah.
And then Miles like, no. Wait, let me show you. He sticks to the wall and he goes, pretty weird, right? And then Spider-Man just jumps on the wall and goes, not that weird.
Yeah, that was great.
And at the end of the game, they actually justify Spider-Man not being there. He's going on vacation with Mary Jane, and that's why he's not in the game, but he's still like on the cell phone and everything.
Yeah, that was
I love how Genki is in that game. There's so many like Spider-Man references. The Prowler, and you actually find out it's the uncle in this game too. But he's in this dope Iron Man-like suit.
Yes. You know, they really went all out those games, and they really made them like a movie that you are controlling the character and you are in the movie, like a single player narrative experience. Like
legit,
really incredible.
I just watched through all the cutscenes, and that's my thing. And the Spider-Man, the sequel, they're gonna make you fight Venom. So I'm like, ha ha ha.
Yeah, Venom. We heard, I believe, Kraven the Hunter a little bit in there.
Yeah.
There's rumors about Lizard, and also there's rumors about if you're gonna play as Miles sometimes or Spider-Man sometimes, or how that's gonna work, because they showed both of them in the trailer now. So they're both gonna be somewhere.
And their suits look so good. I love the white suit that's in the video game. It's the first time. That's some of my favorites. Okay, so I got two more story games that I think I should have mentioned, but I couldn't. X-Men Origins Wolverine, because that's basically, and that's one of the occasions where the game is way better than the movie. Now you could just, it's so brutal as you'd expect a Wolverine game to be.
Yes.
It's like, and they bring in like a lot of these X-Men characters. Like the ending cutscene is showing like the Sentinels eliminating all the mutants, but you're still Wolverine because you can heal. And what's cool is that if you're damaged in the game, it shows the skin re-healing.
Really? That's sick.
And then my other favorite game, this is gonna be controversial, but whatever, Avengers.
Avengers, really? I'm surprised.
Because the storyline was cool because it had like the Avengers having to reform, even if it involved Kamala Khan. But also it's like the DLCs were so good because you had Black Panther, you had Hawkeye, you were fighting Maestro, and then they bring in the ability to use the MCU suits, even though some of them were a little bit like, what? Like, for instance, you're still using the Cap shield, even if you're using an Infinity War. Thor is not using Stormbreaker. I'm like, really? Even it's just so they released like skins for Hawkeye, and everyone's upset because Kate's hair is not the way it was in the movie.
Right.
I'm like, okay, but I appreciate the game for what it is, and even though it's like a live service game, which we get like really annoyed at, was like a lot of microtransactions, but they made it so you don't necessarily have to buy anything to play the game. So I'm like, okay, I can take this. I can take just buying cosmetics. That's totally fine.
Yes. No, that's
and also the costumes were also like throughout the comics. Ultimate Iron Man, even though it looks nothing like Ultimate Iron Man. Ultimate Cap, MCU Cap. Let's see, Black Ops Cap. U.S. Agent Cap, Black Widow, all the stuff from the movie, Hulk, all the stuff from the movies. You can use Gladiator Hulk. You can play as Maestro. You can play as Ronin when you play as Hawkeye. It's like so much. Lad, your screen's frozen. All right, well, while Lad recovers from his technical difficulties, there was like so much. Okay, now I got you back. There's like so much they crammed into this game in a good way. You also fight the true Taskmaster. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
And the collectibles are actual comic books that you can find.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of lore, they actually have the lore too for like a lot of these characters that you can see. Like there's a codex area of the game.
Yeah. That was good.
So, do you have one more game you want to mention, or is that it?
I think that's it for me. We got to talk through so many great ones in superheroes.
Yeah, there's so many superhero games. There are a few of them, but another one I forgot to mention that I played so much of is Superman Returns.
Isn't that pretty infamous?
I liked it. No. It's not the Superman 64. It's not that game.
Okay.
It's the one for the Superman Returns movie that's a tie-in.
Now I know.
You can use the black suit. Actually, not the black suit. The silver suit from the movie.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I actually had that action figure for that Superman. But it's the movie. But you can fight like all the Superman villains like Metallo. You can fight. You can play as Bizarro.
That's so cool.
You can again, it's the basic plot of the movie, but they also add in a lot of stuff. Like you can fight like multiple man Metallo against like so many. I think I fought Lobo at one point in that game.
Really?
And it's a free roam Superman game where you can fly and use his super speed. And if you put on a cheat code that makes Metropolis invincible, you could go full Injustice and like try and destroy the city.
Huh.
I did that. I used my super breath and I would just blow cars everywhere.
That's cool.
It was like one of my favorite superhero games of all time.
That's good.
And we haven't had another good Superman game ever because I guess it's hard to make like a challenge for Superman, but there's ways to do it. Or you could just give us the ability to not impress everyone. That's totally fine. Right. We want to ragdoll people. That's the point of Superman.
Whoa! Superman would never.
That's why people love the Snyder Cut scene where he comes in with the axe.
Yeah.
He's like, screw it. He just punches out Steppenwolf. Here's a good idea. The Snyderverse, but in game series. Can you imagine if they make a video game for the Snyderverse?
That could actually work. I mean,
Injustice with the voice actors.
Yeah, you could use the voice actors. Injustice had great cutscenes. Like, you could do that for a regular game.
And that would be the storyline. Except that I want them to make it like not like an Injustice game because I want to actually be able to move around and like interact with the world.
Yeah.
Like they can make it like a free roam game, like Spider-Man or Superman or Arkham. I think it would be good as like an Arkham style game with the Arkham graphics, but it's like Ben Affleck's voice, Gal Gadot's voice. Right. They could pay them to like come in for a day and just record dialogue.
Yeah,
because I'm sure they would do that. Because I feel like I think Snyder would do well to make a game. I think he'd do really well with that.
No, I think you're right. That'd be great.
All right, so that's the end of this one, everyone. Hope you enjoy the new digs, because I certainly am, and then we finally have a place to put like the camera, so it's not like on the screen and everything. Yeah. We pretty much fixed the lighting, and then pretty soon, maybe the next episode will be in studio, so you can see Lad and I right next to each other on this very desk.
Yes, exactly.
Lad, always a pleasure. The place looks great. Thank you so much for helping me do this.
No problem. I really had fun. It was great. It was great bonding time.
So have a good weekend, everyone. Remember to like, comment, subscribe for Comics League, where we spread positivity through comic books and superheroes.
Yeah, hit that subscribe button right there. Leave a comment below. Hit the bell for notifications. Follow us on Instagram.
Instagram at Comics League 2020. I think at Comics League 2021. I'm going to check that. Email us at comicsleague2020@gmail.com.
Yes.
It is Comics League 2021 on Instagram. You can follow me at Justice Lord on Twitter. I do a lot of Restore the Snyderverse stuff. I advertise for our episodes. Yes, Justice Lord. I just put that in randomly as like a cool sounding like handle. And then I remembered, wait a second, that's a Justice League animated show reference. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. Lad, you're like, your volume is really low.
Follow us on the socials, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Follow us on the socials. And we'll be doing a lot more like skit type videos we have planned. Bottom line is, we have a lot planned. We hope you're going to like, comment, subscribe so you can be a part of it and join the Comics League. All right, everyone. See you in the next one. And remember, Injustice is the greatest superhero video game of all time. And restore the Snyderverse. All right, everyone. Stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.